After finishing work on the community project, Dan, Miriam and I were very keen to skate back onto our bikes. Dan had given our friend Linkson a ride into town as a thank you before we said our farewells, but I think when he left he did at least appreciate the difference between the Hondas and the BMW.
Did you think that the BMW would have been a better bet?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. And that's a wrap.
Too late for Miriam to persuade him otherwise. We were soon heading north, and the Hondas were able to show just how good they are off-road on a superb piece of track parallel to the main road. I was left alone with the Boxer engine, but just about managed to keep up.
I am just a poor boy, though my story is seldom told. I squandered my resistance for a pocket full of mumbles, such are promises.
But I get on very well with the Boxer these days, and the Bavarian Beauty and I continued with beautiful weather, beautiful roads, and some really great company for the day. The shores of Lake Malawi are blessed with some fantastic campsites, but often you have to go through soft sand to get to those, and trying to control a fish-tailing big GS is not something I'd recommend to you unless you enjoy picking it up out of the dirt.
Wakker in Malawi.
Or sunrise in Malawi, as we say in English. It was time to gas up and push on. The kids are always amusing when we're waiting for one another at the stations, but back on the road it's trucks and bridges and wonderful scenery to enjoy. Malawi is a friendly and fascinating country, but for the avid biker there's one thing we treasure above all else, and Malawi's got plenty of that.
Now you're gone, realize my love for you was strong, and I miss you here, now you're gone. I keep waiting here by the phone, with the pictures hanging on the wall. Is this the way it's meant to be? Only dreaming that you're missing me. I realize my love for you was strong, and I miss you here, now you're gone. I keep waiting here by the phone, with the pictures hanging on.
Today, getting unleaded petrol was harder than finding bananas, or for that matter, beef curry, but it all really depends on what the delivery truck has brought, or not brought, as the case may be. Malawi has some fantastic scenery, but by joining Dan and Miriam, I'd signed up to do some off-roading and to reach the parts that other bikes cannot reach. The rewards when we finally got there, and yes, that did involve some more sand, were wonderful. Hippo-filled lakes, quiet nights, and the chance of elephants walking through the camp. In the morning, to my disappointment, most of the big beasties had been in our heads. At dawn, yet another picturesque view from the sleeping bag. With the three of us riding as support for one another, we decided to keep riding the back roads where possible. I began to realise that we were starting to see parts of Malawi that you will only see if you're on a motorcycle. Often at the end of the smallest track lay the biggest, friendliest smile. But if I thought this was a long and dusty road, I'd seen nothing yet. The landscape was beautiful, but the riding was starting to become very technical. The sand had turned to bull dust, which makes vision very hard to keep, and it also conceals a lot of the pointy rocks that will puncture your tyre. The GS was just about holding its own in the technical stuff, and with Dan and Miriam showing again what great riders they are, we made steady progress towards Livingstonia. Livingstonia is an ex-colonial missionary settlement, but more importantly for this dirty, tired and thirsty rider, they had some refreshments and a flannel for my face. Just down from the summit of the escarpment, we found a campsite with a remarkable view, and that's just from the shower. Just round the corner there were some dramatic waterfalls where you could wash if you were so inclined, and we stayed there for a couple of days just to recharge the batteries and prepare for what we felt would be a rather difficult descent off the escarpment.
As usual, that was something of an understatement.
This is how we do it. This is how we roll. This is how we rock. This is how we roll. This is how we do it, do it, do it.
You should know by now that if it's so difficult I can't film, then that's a pretty nasty mountain. I was relieved to be back on the asphalt, at least for now.
Now you're gone.